We're good.
We're good?
We're good.
All right. I'll officially call this meeting to order. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Kirshner will lead us with the prayer.
Okay, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this crisp winter evening. Thank you for all those who are here, and we ask for your wisdom in making the decisions that are the right thing for the people of Seneca County. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller? Commissioner Kirshner?
Here.
Before going any further, again, I apologize for coming late from another important community activity. I didn't think it, thought I'd get away, but I'm gonna get wrapped up into it. Appreciate Clinton Township for hosting us here. We've been doing these quarterly evening meetings for, I guess this is the 4th year since the first year I came on the board. We try to get out and about and have meetings somewhere other than 10 o'clock during the day in Tiffin. So we appreciate working with all of the townships and local groups around the county, allowing us to come in at your facility, opening it up for us and being here. So thank you, appreciate that. We'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording from the previous board session, which was Tuesday, January 12th, and the index of that meeting.
So moved.
I will second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. All right. Any adjustments to the printed agenda? Okay. We've got a number of things listed here to do some updates from under old business, so we'll just start right there at the top of that list. The Transportation Improvement District meeting, I believe that has been set. This was the Transportation Improvement District was established by the board. I don't remember which month, but somewhere in the last quarter.
December.
Was it December when we did it? Last year got it rolling, so now we're getting through the organizational paperwork to actually establish the board itself and all the things required, and that is obviously includes the very first meeting. So the information is?
It is February 2nd.
February 2nd.
11:30.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's following our meeting.
Right.
All right, anything else with that? Next item here for under old business is the Batchelder Group, a lobbying group. And Mike, you've been meeting with them and discussed some things.
Yeah, just to bring this up to date, Mayor Kepler from Fostoria, Mayor Moss Tiffin, Renee from Fostoria Regional Development, and myself met with the two gentlemen from the Batchelder Group, Chad Hawley and Troy Judy, to discuss the possibility of them representing us in the capacity of lobbyists in Columbus. These two guys, Batchelder, for those folks that don't know, was president of House of Representatives up until he turned out. Now we have, what's his name?
Oh, Rosenberg, Speaker, is it Speaker? Rosenberg.
So these guys trained many of the individuals who are now the aides. They have contacts with all the leadership and all the leadership positions, and all the leadership aides down in Columbus. We have not, as a county, been very well represented when it comes to asking for ourselves. We put in the budgets and to make certain requests for capital improvement projects or road projects or whatever. So one of the things we thought was we might take a different tack, and that is have someone representing our interests in Columbus. So it is now in the form of a proposal I will receive from these gentlemen, the Batchelder Group, that is a written proposal outlining fees, etc. We believe there will be a retainer somewhere about $2,500 a month, and that will be split between the city of Tiffin and the city of Fostoria and Seneca County, equitably as possible. We haven't, none of those political subdivisions have approved this. The other two probably have not had conversations with their respective councils, but we believe that, I believe that it is a move in the correct direction to try to get our voice heard and to get to the table sooner in Columbus. The problem in the past is we've always asked for things once the announcements have been made regarding budgets. This is more of a proactive approach. We try to fit our requests to what the budgets are going to allow and try to get that handled prior to decisions being made about the use of road money and capital improvement. So, I will strongly urge the commission to consider this. We don't have anything to take a vote on at this point, but hopefully in the near future we'll have some more serious conversation about it.
Any indication from the municipalities of interest? I mean, obviously there's an interest, so they wouldn't have participated in the
Right.
meeting, but.
I get the sense that we believe it's a good thing. You know, my point about going to Columbus, trying to get things to happen in Seneca County is, as all of you know, definition of insanity. We've been doing it the same way for decades with no real results. So let's try something different. If we continue to try the same thing with the same results, so this is just an opportunity, in my opinion, to try to do things a little bit differently. Hopefully get some of our tax money that we paid into Columbus back to the county in a proportionate share. So I believe that there's some interest. There seemed to be a little bit, some good enthusiasm at the meeting, but they are at the mercy of their respective councils, so they'll need to be brought approval as well.
More info to come. Right, the land bank.
We have scheduled the land bank meeting for February 2nd, and it will be at 11 o'clock. This is to do the organization and to review and approve the rules or the code regulations for the land bank. So we have that set up for the same day as the transportation improvement district, since we're pretty much the same group of people. So.
The land bank will allow.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
I was just saying that we need to.
Sure. The land bank will allow Seneca County and municipalities such as Fostoria and Tiffin to purchase distressed properties or abandoned properties, properties beyond repair, or properties that can't be repaired, put back on the tax base. It's a vehicle through which that can happen easier than going through the foreclosure process through the way that we do it through the real estate tax. We have been fortunate enough, or they have been fortunate enough to receive a seed money grant from First Merit Corporation. We are signing a letter thanking them for that and accepting that. But much of the money would be generated through the delinquent land tax to improve neighborhoods. I think it's a real positive thing. Sandusky County just started theirs and they're doing really well with it. Up until now, counties less than 100,000 are not able to participate. That language has changed and they're able to do this.
And Fostoria has been a big help, and they were researching, trying to figure out a way. They knew that this would be a tool that would be beneficial to them, and so when it became available in about the middle of last year, that because they changed the size of the areas allowed to establish them, we were ready to jump and move quickly because of the work and the legwork that Fostoria had done. So that was very beneficial, and they're helping with some admin part of that too as well with the creation. Right.
Kudos to Renee at the Fostoria County Shop. She's really taking the lead on it.
Next, we have listed under old business EMS, and but it's not all old business. There's all been a lot of new business stuff going on. He's been making the headlines for days after days. So
it's all just kind of coming to fruition. For those who don't know me, I'm Tim Baker, so I'm the EMS director for Seneca County. Now I'll talk about the newspaper articles, kind of how they happen. I'll talk about them in order, but really, I reached out to the AT speedwriter, which is Jimmy Flint, and he covers fire EMS, that whole thing in a nutshell. And I told him, I said, hey, over the next couple of months, I got some really good news happening, and we've got things going on. Well, apparently it's been a slow news week last week, so we just put it in there 3 days. So I was hoping to stretch that out over a couple of weeks, maybe a month, but it's out there.
It's
So
all good.
the first thing we talked about, and it's old business, but it's all just kind of happened. We've been working on this a long time. The first thing is the Mental Health and Recovery Board had me come in and do a talk for them, and that's the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board for Sandusky, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties. They expressed an interest in what can we do to help with the opiate addiction problem, narcotic overdoses, specifically heroin and the illicit use of prescription medication or narcotics. I went in, did a little talk with all the judges and all the board members of that, and they decided to give us a $3,000 grant. And how that's good news to the folks at Clinton Township is the Clinton Fire Department will benefit from that as well. As will every volunteer fire department in Seneca County. We're going to put a dose of Narcan, which is the opiate antidote drug. We're going to put that on every first out engine on every fire department in the county with the grant money that they gave. And I'm kind of heading up the project for them because there's a lot of training involved with that, and it's not something that your average everyday firefighter is trained to do initially. Although over the past couple of years they have approved that at the board, state board of EMS and fire, to allow practically anyone to give Narcan in an emergency. So I'm going to educate you guys on how to do it. I'm going to supply them with the meds to use it, and we're going to push forward with that. The grant lasts 6 months, but the shelf life of the med is about 2 years. We know where the most of the overdoses are, and that'll lead into the next topic, but we know where it happens the most, and we're going to make sure that those meds are there for folks to have access to them quickly. And there's a lot more to talk about just on that, but that kind of leads me to the next thing is, we started using electronic data recording this year. Why that's important is because we need to know where things are happening. Biosurveillance is a useful tool in emergency medicine. It is in public health. If we know where the problem is, we know where to target our efforts. So we know, like I said, we know where the overdoses are. So we're going to make sure that we've got Narcan in those areas and people trained to use it. The electronic medical records that we use helps us do that. We used to do it with paper, and we would go, "Hey, we had any overdoses this month? Give me 20 minutes." And you go and you flip through a filing cabinet and you look for OD. But the thing is most people, and I know this is common sense, but most people, when they overdose on a medication, an illicit medication, if you're their family member, you don't call 911 and go, "My husband OD'd on heroin." You go, "He's sick." And then we have to find out through a process. Electronic medical records, what that allows us to do is when we find out that we have overdoses in these areas, it shares that information. And at the same time, while it's sharing it, it doesn't violate anybody's privacy. So we don't say, "John Doe, Social Security number 1, 2, 3, 4. It just says, in this area, we've had this many overdoses. So biosurveillance is a useful tool. We are now taking part in that as a county EMS service. And along with that, through the approval process that we went through last year, you guys allowed us to purchase new cardiac monitors. The cardiac monitors are what we call durable medical equipment, which when you add medical equipment to anything, or if you add like aviation to anything, you just triple the cost, is essentially what it is. Durable medical equipment is a very expensive thing to purchase. So we've had these units that we currently have in service, we've had them for more than 10 years. They were purchased in 2005, and if you ever buy a PC, if you've got a PC that was still running, it was brand new in 2005, today it probably doesn't work. Same concept. The cardiac monitors are basically computers. The 12 lead EKGs, the things the doctors do in his office with 10 different machines, we have one machine that does all of that. So they're expensive. And we appreciate the commissioners and everybody that has helped us get these things together. We still got some glitches to work out with them, software related, and we're working on it, but they should be in service within a week or so. I keep saying that, but they're coming. And last but not least, the article that was written lately, most recently, just the other day. You guys know how hard we've been working to do this. And like you said earlier, Mike, it's good to have a voice in Columbus. So I've been going to Columbus. Apparently somebody noticed that I was going to Columbus and I got appointed to a board, the Ohio EMS Chiefs Association, and Seneca County EMS is a charter member of that, and I was appointed to that board as the Northwest Ohio Regional Representative to the Ohio EMS Chiefs Board. Voting member, it's a 10-person board. The association has over 50 ambulance services throughout Ohio, and we're growing. So I think it's going to get bigger, quick, probably. We're giving a voice to the third service agency. What third service means, if that makes no sense to most people, we're not fire, we're not hospital, we're the third service. We provide EMS care at the point of care, which is anywhere in the world that you call 911. If it's in our jurisdiction, we're the guys that show up. So we do all the things that all the other ones do, but we do it with a budget about that big compared to what the other ones do. So we're trying to get our words out there to the state, and we're going to be sitting on a board to be able to sit right next to the big guys in the room and say, these are the struggles we're having, and this is what we're trying to get accomplished, and this is how we do it. There's a lot of people interested in how we do it, because it's kind of reminding me of the old saying that we've been doing so much for so long with so little, we're pretty well qualified to do anything with nothing. There's some counties that have EMS systems with budgets that exceed $5 million. Ours is nowhere near that, as you guys well know. And we still do it, and we do it very effectively. And it's been noticed, so they're asking for our input on that. I'm very proud of that, and I think that I'm not real good at breaking my own arm and patting myself on the back, but it's really about the guys that are out there. Because if they weren't doing the job, I couldn't spend the time in Columbus that needs to be spent. So I appreciate these guys doing the job. And I think it's with the joint ambulance districts that we've seen so much success with over the past couple of years. We've got going to be 5 joint ambulance districts in this county. That brings the local governments into the picture with direction and control at the local level. And everybody knows where the money's coming from and how it's being spent. So I think we're on the right track, and it's going to get better from here. So that's all positive news, and I try to get positive news in the paper about once a month. This time I kind of picked out a whole bunch all at once, but at least it's all good news. So,
It's all very
does
good.
anybody have any questions for me related to all I garbage I just mentioned?
No, I just appreciate what you're doing and what you're doing with all of the volunteers and all the work they continue to do. I know I commented with the remark over the weekend with the articles in, and it was said from some past commissioners, and I think there's probably one in the back of this room here, that when EMS all got started 35 plus years ago in Seneca County, was the fact that if we want to equip those volunteers with what they need to do the job, because they are volunteers and they deserve to have the means and the tools necessary to do the job and do it right. And so glad that this board has been able to continue what previous boards have done is in support of it financially.
And I can tell you from the meetings that I have with the guys, they sincerely appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys coming to the coordinators meeting that we had on Friday evening. And that really shows support, and they notice those things. And that all disseminates out to the ranks. And we really appreciate the support from you and from all of the local governments as well.
We appreciate getting positive headlines. That's the pure time of an opportunity for us to be a headline.
Yeah.
So,
I was shooting for once a month, but I'm doing it once, 3 times a week, so
I'll just,
thank you.
I'm going to throw one more reminder in here under old business. I didn't catch that. I didn't list it, but that's just that the regional planning, Seneca Regional Planning Commission is holding a special meeting tomorrow evening at 5:30. I headed up the strategic planning group that we put in place after the resignation of the executive director, and needing to figure out what regional planning was doing and how we move forward and make sure that we had that thought process and all in alignment with what we wanted in a director. And we, in 2 meetings, I think, have come up with a real good strategic plan, a short-term strategic plan to present to the board. So I appreciate those who sat on and helped with that effort, those 2 meetings, and we're going to do that with the special meeting tomorrow night at 5:30. It is a public meeting, but I don't know if we're going to miss anybody. I think the response was pretty strong from the board to we more than have a quorum. I think maybe they're all going to be there. I don't know if we're missing anybody, but so we're going to do that tomorrow, and we have a regular meeting is February 3rd, the next regular meeting. So we'll be able to discuss that plan tomorrow and possibly position description depending on the wishes of the board. But that's tomorrow.
Location for that meeting is?
In the RTA building, the basement conference room, right there next to the regional planning office. So, all right, anything else for old business? No, we'll proceed with resolution stated for new.
Okay, I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made for the LGF alternate formula to the ambulance service fund. Every 3 years we do an alternate formula. It originally came from local government funding. It was the local government assistance.
Local government revenue assistance.
Yes, LaGraff. And they used to set a percentage of that funding aside, and the commissioners throughout the years have continued that, even though that LaGraff formula had been discontinued. So the commissioners are committed to continue that formula that we've had in place. We will have to do that at the end of this year to continue for the next 3 years, but these are the monies we've set aside. $180,000 for the ambulance service fund. I think there was another one here.
It's rating. It's like the 4th one.
EMA. I have a resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to the EMA fund. I think we did the floodplain administration last week that we've set aside for them as well. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the note retirement fund, putting $100,000 into that fund. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the bond retirement fund. This is the amount that we have to pay for our bond, $471,299.24. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the sheriff's commissary fund, moving $7,500 from contract services to other expense. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the sheriff's commissary fund. Just putting, I don't know if we need both of these.
Yeah, we do. I asked.
Okay, all right. $7,500 into other expense instead of $15,000.
Yeah.
I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the health insurance fund, putting $376.19 into salaries benefits. I have a resolution rescinding the board's orders of January 12, 2016, volume 92, page 18, the supplemental appropriation to the guardrail upgrade project. I did not have a revenue certified with budget commission, so.
Oh.
And I have resolution amending the board's orders of December 8, 2015, volume 91, page 612, appointing members to the revolving loan fund committee. Which ones did we change?
It used to be Fred, it's Mike now,
Okay.
and it used to be Scott, and it is now Phil Meesit. Used to be Scott Cromer.
Okay. And those are all the resolutions I have?
Do I have a motion to approve stated resolutions?
So,
I will second. Any questions or concerns on any of the resolutions as presented? None, seeing none. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner.
both of us, yes.
Commissioner Zoller. Commissioner Stacy.
Yes. All stand approved. Thank you. This gives us an opportunity for citizens' comments. So at this time, is there anyone that has any comments, questions to bring to the board? Yes, hi.
My name is Paula Crum, C-R-U-M. And last week I read in the Advertiser Tribune this comment at the meeting in regards to the museum, and it says here, quote, studying the possibility of hiring a new director for the museum. And I came tonight just to find out what that meant.
The museum, we've had a task force that's been meeting now for, gosh, I think we've had 5 meetings. We've had 5 meetings since last spring, and we're just stepping back and looking at what should be our next phase of operations of the museum. Currently, what we have is a lease agreement that it was done under previous board, that the previous board put in place when funding got strapped and tightened and the museum director position was eliminated. So there was no paid director for the museum. So they put out a request for proposal for someone to help the county out by managing the Seneca County Museum. And in doing that, the Seneca County Historical Society was the group that went into the lease agreement with the county, and they took on a lot of things. And they were in the 4th year of that current agreement as managers. Now we made one amendment to the management agreement, which was where we took back over maintenance cost, because they had the whole ball of wax. They were managing the museum. The donations that come in were theirs to continue using it for management of the museum. They had taken care of the utility cost and basic maintenance, major things to the building we were doing, and so forth. But anyway, so we stepped up and made it an amendment to that lease where we took back on handling all the utilities and helping with all maintenance costs. Other than that, they continued managing it, and they've got till the end of 16. So we put in place a task force to start looking at what are we going to do at the end of that. What do we want the management of the operations to look like? And so that's what the task teams, and there's representatives from the Historical Society, from the Barnes Steinzer Museum Foundation, and then myself and Nicole is the recorder sitting there. And then we have a third party, an outside person who's with the SCORE, the group of retired executives who help out small businesses and nonprofit groups with lending some expertise for free. And he comes in and facilitates the meetings. And so we've been gathering everybody's thoughts and looking at various things to how should we continue to move forward. So one of the thoughts that group is in agreement on, and again, that hasn't come to this board. Mike Caton has come to one meeting. I've given the board updates on it, but we haven't voted on anything of what we'll do. It will be ultimately the Board of Commissioners. It's our museum to determine for the county. You've elected us to make those decisions for the county to decide what happens. Are we going to have a position we fund? Do we want an operating board that has powers for oversight with a director? What that's going to look like. So I know at our next meeting, which is Thursday, we're going to look at some beginning drafts and or offer our input for a position description. If we had a museum director, what would that position need to look like? We've got a previous position description. So maybe it's going to be the same, maybe it's going to be a lot different. We're going to look at what a cooperative operating agreement might look like if we had a new board for the museum. And we've gotten ideas from Wood County. We've had the Wood County Museum Director come talk to us. We've gathered information from other county museums. So we've been doing a lot of research, just trying to facilitate and move things forward with, again, the ultimate goal being a mission statement that we have about the museum. I don't have that in front of me to read it to you. And that being the focus. Now, how do we get there? How do we continue to interpret and maintain the history of Seneca County and that asset that we have in that building well into the future? What should that look like? And so that's the steps we're going through. So that's what that article was about.
Okay, but my specific question was new director. What did you mean by a new director?
Well, being that we don't know what the position description is, and right now we don't have a director. We have volunteers, and we've got Tanya Hoffert serves as the volunteer for the Historical Society, and Mark Steinmetz is right alongside with Tanya, and they both do, as well as other members of that group, do a great deal for the museum. But like I said, we're stepping back saying, clean slate, if we have a new operating agreement, what should the position just, maybe it'll look just like the one Tanya had, I don't know, but that's what we're looking at. So we're saying new, because we don't know what that description is.
So that does not mean that you are not going to include Tanya Hufford.
No, she's part of the task force
So
team.
I meant for if there's going to be a new one hired, if that is the agreement between the three organizations, three groups, will she be included if she wants the job? Would she also be able to be included in a possibility of having that position?
Yeah, if she meets whatever the group comes to the consensus of, which has to come through the county if it's a county employee, of meeting the, whatever that job description is, she certainly could be a candidate for the job by all means. Yeah.
When would this, so this has to take place before the end of 2016? Or
If
sooner?
or sooner, or the Board of Commissioners have to decide what, we as a board would have to decide how we move forward if we don't have a new defined operating management plan in place. We'll have to decide what that is. So that's the goal. That's why we started the process when we did, figuring it would take some time to get worked through what a new cooperative agreement might be, what a new management plan is, to protect that asset. So yes.
Well, I think to have it sooner would be better, to not have this keep dragging out and dragging out.
Right, right.
We're not talking about just a building.
No.
We're talking about a human
Programs
being.
and there's, yes.
Tanya Hufford. And she has not been paid for 3 years or maybe more. And it's just not fair to her. And so it'd be nice if this could be finalized so that we can continue on so that we know what we're doing.
Right.
I am a volunteer at the museum, and I spend a lot of hours there. And thank goodness we have a lot of good volunteers at the Seneca County Historical Society. And we just would like to know when this is going to be finalized so that we have a director that is going to be paid.
Well, like I said, that's what we're working through. Yeah, so the best thing we can do is make sure we have a good, solid plan that's going to keep us working for the betterment of the museum. And we certainly have said over and over again, we really appreciate what the Historical Society has done in these counting the current year. In these 4 years, they have dedicated a lot of time and their heart and soul and finances into operating that museum, and that's not gone unnoticed. And so we needed to come up with a plan so we knew where we go from here. And because I don't think we can expect somebody to continue to volunteer. So we got to determine what's best and go from there. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Jim Hufford. I'm a very concerned citizen, and I don't like what's been going on in the last 4 years. The commissioners had money troubles 4.5 years ago. They asked for help. So the Historical Society took the museum over. And the main reason you guys needed help, you didn't have money. The last 3.5 years, 3 years, you've been having operations, and you've been taking advantage of this Historical Society. And I think you should step up the plate and give Tanya back her job the way it was, and let's move forward.
I guess I'll only take harsh to the fact that I don't think we were taking advantage of anybody. It was an agreement that was signed. So we just...
It's supposed to be a short-term fix, not 4 years or 5 years.
The agreement was for 4 years, and so that's the agreement that we're working under. I don't know if Mike wants to add anything. He's been on the board only for a little over a year at this point in time. But like I said, we're trying to go through this in what makes the best sense and engages all those. There's a lot of wonderful stakeholder groups that have interest in the museum and have helped the museum. And we want to, like I said, take all that into account and establish it to be successful for decades to come. If there's anything you want to add to Okay. Like I said, we're not trying to take advantage of anybody, but like I said, we've emphasized over again, we greatly appreciate what the Seneca County Historical Society has done. It was an agreement they signed, like I said, almost 3-something years ago. and have maintained and kept the museum moving forward and continuing, not just opening the doors, doing programming, taking care of things, the volunteers and so forth. And we've seen great reviews on the programs that continue. So, like I said, we're not throwing everything out the door. We're just trying to make sure we're moving forward in a good fashion. Yep.
Museum, and I think you guys should reward her for her past 4 years of doing it, and instead of having a threat of hiring a new director, have her, you guys tell her right now it's your job when the thing comes up.
Well, I'm not in a position that I could do that, so we have to.
Well, two of you here, you guys are in a position doing it.
Yeah. Well, I think this board has agreed to allow the task force to do their work, so I think that's the steps we're going to continue working through. I think we've made some good progress. We knew it would take a year to 18 months, and hopefully by the middle of summer, our outline that's on the draft agenda for the meeting, I think has got us maybe kind of knowing that we'd be looking at what a position description might be come summer, somewhere along those lines, so forth. But we're working through it. So. Points taken. Any further comments for citizens' comments at this time? Seeing none. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I will so move.
I will second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.